E-Flare 93, our opponent in round 1. Why, hello and good luck, E-Flare 93. I would definitely like to play first with the deck I have. And, don't have any swamps to get Charlotte on, but I don't have a lot of black spells anyway, and having 2 Dragon's Eggs I think are going to be very good with a lot of mountains. So, nope, not going to mulligan. And we'll just get our Dragon Eggs down, save some damage, and then start beating the air with some fire-breathing 2/2 dragons. I think that is a wonderful game plan. Cool. Opponent joined here, said good luck, have fun. Very kind. Always appreciate that. And we lead with a mountain. Alright, what color is E-Flare 93 playing? Ooh, green. Ooh, Elvish Mystic. Interesting. Hey, more mountains. Oh, what's gonna happen? Would have loved a swamp there, but that's fine. I just like to be greedy is all. I'm gonna leave Shock up. That probably won't be that relevant. And let's see, so my opponent has it. Ooh, a Tusker. Well, I'll be able to buy some time with my Dragon's Egg. So that's kind of good. And then we'll see if the race can begin or not. Now, if my opponent feels like a race in the air isn't what is going to help win for him or her, for E-Flare, then there could be a mistake of not attacking with the Tusker. But really, the Tusker, it's got to get the Dragon Egg out of the way at some point. Might as well do it now. And yeah, that's correct. I kind of came up on that under my first... Hold on, did okay happen? Sorry, a little bit of lag there. When the first time I faced against Dragon Egg, and I had to think for a second, like, oh gosh, do I really want my opponent to get the 2/2 flyer? But it's just going to happen anyway. Unless you have other ways of getting through damage, there's really no point in doing that. Neat, so that's kind of cool. I can't exactly attack in with the dragon right now because I don't want to waste an entire turn to trade with the giant spider. However, playing a Dragon Eggs now, yeah, I'll go ahead and play this just to keep buying some time. My opponent's going to realize that, wow, Giant Spider is going to be pretty awesome. I'm going to leave that one mountain up to see if I want to trade with the Tusker, or see if my opponent wants to trade with the Tusker. Because I could just do a block and pump, and then I'm trading my uncommon for E-Flare's uncommon. So let's see if E-Flare wants to do that. Tapping out beforehand, probably not the idea, because in green-white there are a lot of combat tricks. Ah, but you have a Troll Hide. I see. With regen up, so this is quite a race, and I definitely need to get some removal on board. Oh, my opponent's getting super aggressive, which is actually very appropriate if the race game is what's in store. I'll go ahead and take 2, though, right now. This Dragon Egg gaining me... The 2 Dragon Eggs gave me quite a bit of life. And then we're just going to start continuing the race as well. Unfortunately, my opponent is a wee bit ahead on the board, and I'm not too sure if I'm going to be able to continue the race all the way. Definitely playing a swamp this turn. So we can take for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage to my opponent while playing a Child of Night. Might be able to trade the Sentinel Sliver and gain some life. I'm taking 5, 6, 7, 8 or so. So we're on a fairly even race, but my opponent can slow it down really easily with this giant spider. Humana, ho. This Corpse Hauler, if we get enough mana going, we'll kind of do a chump, sacrifice, bring back a Dragon Egg, be able to take another point swing. So we might be able to make this work. For now, I want the Child of Night on board to see if my opponent can trade with the Sentinel Sliver. And yeah, that's going to be the whole game plan. Play Child of Night, help with our race, attack in with the dragons, do some pumps. Doesn't matter which one, my opponent's tapped out, so we're just going to go ahead and pump it all the way. And then, yeah, pass the turn. Would love it if Sentinel Sliver came in and they traded. I don't see that happening. Unless my opponent wants to get super aggressive. I have to decide if my opponent only plays with the Tusker. Do I bother making it that? Okay, cool. I'm definitely trading this or a combat trick or something with the Sliver. Snap blocking there. Do a trick, that's fine. I want Child of Night to gain me 2 life and trade with 1 card. That's what I care about. If it's a combat trick, I'm okay with that as well. Because that keeps it from, doing some kind of trick with a giant spider or something. And if it just gets a trade and I gain 2 life, then I'm on board with that also. Ooh, Vast Weird Hydra. So a little more pressure to the board, though we may not be trading too quickly with any of these guys. Huh. So I do like getting the Corpse Hauler online. I'm just trying to think if I can win the race by doing that. My opponent's a little bit out of gas. I'm for sure putting a Lightning Talons on one of my dragons and then attacking in with it. Question is, do I attack in with the other dragon and trade with the giant spider? Or do I just try to press my advantage with the Lightning Talon dude? I can even keep the other dragon back. I think one way I really will win this game is getting the Corpse Hauler back to get another Dragon Egg online. So I think what I'm going to do is play the Corpse Hauler this turn in order to set up next turn a block. Now it does mean I'm taking a bit of damage here because I'm also going to be playing the Lightning Talons on my dragon and tapping out for a whole lot of mana. The 3, 4, 5 that may not be needed. 5, 6 puts my opponent there. I'm worried of a pacifism or the removal spell that does a +1 and then they fight or something. I could use Lightning Talons defensively against the Tusker or the Hydra or something. That could also work. Though I'm really not in love with that. I think I want to play the race game here. I'm taking 9, 10, 11, 12 with the possible pumps. I'll have to block. I'll just block the Elvis Mystic with the dragon. Yeah, okay, so we're going to go ahead and Lightning Talons up here. And then bash in with just this dragon. See if my opponent wants to do a block here. I assume not. That's pretty much correct. We'll get that extra point of damage in. And then play our next Corpse Hauler here. Which I want to keep alive for next turn to do a chump, sacrifice, get Dragon Egg back, and then have another Dragon Egg to do some blocks. The question is, will I be at enough life to be able to sustain that? Maybe. I have enough pressure with the dragons in the air that it's relevant, that both are lethal. With my opponent down at 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. So my opponent has to keep the giant spider back or have some removal spells of some sort. And now my opponent has to it's probably going to be a tank about some math here. I'm going to actually protect the Corpse Hauler as best I can. I kind of just hope my opponent also is worried about how much the Corpse Hauler can do. Next turn, assuming my opponent drew a land and plays in up planes and nothing's added to the board in complexity. Next turn I untap, I attack with both my dragons, and pump whichever one doesn't get through, hopefully winning the game. If I don't win that way, backup is just chump blocking with Corpse Hauler. If another blocker or something comes down, I still need to be attacking in and removing some creatures with my first strike Lightning Talons. But the Corpse Hauler, I need to use the 3 mana to chump, sacrifice, and get something else back. Okay, so here, since it's only 9 damage, it does put me down to 5. which is a bit dangerous, but that means Giant Growth doesn't kill me, so I'm going to take it right now without any blocks. Because this Corpse will actually save me a lot more life if I can chump it, sacrifice, and get a Dragon's Aids back for another hit. That's pretty good. But I think I just need to go for the win here. Let me see if I lose then, though. Because if I go for the win, get a block, and then I pump something, then I only have a Swamp back, and then I'm down on the Crackback. So actually, I can't be that greedy and do lethal. And because of that, maybe I pay 3 and just bash in with all the flyers. Alright, so my opponent just does a chump. I want 3 at least to do a block and a sacrifice and bring a Dragon Egg back. So I'm just going to let those blocks go down. Have my opponent take 2 damage. Because they're both lethal anyway. And then I will play my Phoenix for more defense. And I should have enough blockers to survive the next turn. I lose to, the +7/+7 must be block trample, but I'm pretty sure that was going to get me anyway in this race. The only thing is, of course, if I had done blocks and full pumps, then I could have won right there. But I feel like there was more chance of a, some kind of removal or some kind of defense or something that would have gotten me there. And yeah, my opponent wasn't able to get out of that. So pretty tricky. That last turn, I'm not too sure if it was right to not just go for it for the win. But if there was anything that dealt with the one of my dragons that I was pumping, then I would have lost. So that was close. Alright. Anything coming through? 4/4 is nice just because it's bigger than a lot of what my guys are and can trade. I think if we're doing a race thing, then the Ring Flesh can be pretty good, and that actually means a lot of what I have here isn't particularly great. Goblin Diplomats, I think I'm going to keep in, even though it's a race and my opponent kind of wants to be attacking anyway. Forcing my opponent to attack with like the spider that's going to be blocking can make me get a lethal point of damage in. Although maybe I take out the Diplomats to bring in the Seismic Stomp, because that could be just as relevant. Yeah. Oops. Sorry. I didn't see any of the white flyers from my opponent, so I feel like Seismic Stomp is an option. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I think the only card I want to pull out is the Academy Raiders. I don't think there's going to be time against my opponent with all the big fatties to really take advantage of it. And I think I'm going to bring in Ring Flesh, which will be a good combat trick, and maybe I'll take out an elf early or something so there's no ramp on board. I can kind of respond to that. So yeah, we're going to keep it that way. The mana is still the same, so I'm okay with that. Alrighty. That was a fun game. Lots of interesting decisions. 2-drop, 3-drop is good. We get into a 5 and a 6 here. That's not good, but I'm not going to mulligan and having a 2-drop and then a 3-drop. And I think Fire Streaker will actually be very good against my opponent, so I'm A-okay with that. Gonna play out the mountains early, because of course we like mountains. There's a Sentinel Sliver. Ooh, Quag Sickness. So now I kind of want both. You can't block this turn, Sentinel Sliver. I'll be trading my Shortcutter with the Sentinel Sliver, just because I presume that this is going to just be, yeah, it's going to be outclassed so quickly. I'm okay with that. But my opponent, very smartly, did not deal with that. I'm thinking Quag Sickness first and foremost on the Master Diversion. I think that's going to be pretty relevant. However, I can kind of kill that whenever I want. And so do I just take 4 points of damage right now? to get the Fire Shrieker made. Yeah. I presume my opponent's not blocking, because my opponent didn't attack last turn. Cool beans. Get the Fire Shrieker made. That's the turn. I'm pretty sure the master version is going to take this Quag Sickness, but it could be possible I just draw a slew of creatures and then I'm just able to negate this Master of Diversion anyway. So it kind of depends on how much more pressure my opponent can lead on me. But definitely didn't feel the need to kill the Master Diversion right away for the initial 2 points of damage. If anyway, next turn this is what I'm playing. And look, here we have the Canyon Minotaur. So yeah, we're just going to go ahead and hedge the bets, play the Minotaur. Not going to attack. I'm okay with my opponent typing this down, and I'll just trade my Goblin Shortcutter for him. We'll go a little bit more later game here. No thanks. We'll also have a Battle Sliver on board next turn, so we kind of got some beef coming online. Especially with a Fire Shrieker to make any of these guys pretty sweet. Oh, I didn't even notice my opponent was stuck on lands. Kind of important. Might have made me think differently. Nope, doesn't make me think differently. I still want to put up defense. Okay. I'll go ahead and block here. Again, Goblin Shortcutter, 2-1. It's there to make a trade with something. And there it is, Giant Growth. Whoop-de-doo. And then I'll have the Battle Sliver on board and 2 beefy guys to block anything coming through. And 1 more land when the time comes to get Minotaur Abomination down. So that is very good. Alrighty. I'm still fine playing the defense game. Sure, it lets my opponent, get out of this mana screw here. But I'm going to get some beats on soon enough with the Fire Shrieker, a removal spell, and a Minotaur Abomination that I can cast in hand. And any real scary thing now, I have 4 Swamps online. So there's pacifism. Alright. So my opponent is going to get some beats on, but we're drawing out all the removal spells here. Taking 4, whittling me away. Here I'm down just to play another Canyon Minotaur and play put the Fire Shrieker on a Minotaur. That's pretty good to me. I like that. Because overall, I do want to just, have more removal spells drawn out. It could be correct to just start bashing in with some guys, but we're going to have that soon enough. And since I'm still at 10, I'm okay with just defenses up. Let's see if my opponent continues to draw ways to deal with my random creatures. If my opponent doesn't play a creature this turn, because I mean Quagsons I kind of want to keep as a for a more beefy dude, I could just still do Master Diversion. Here it looks like another creature is finally coming down. My opponent's still kind of a little behind on land, having only drawn 1. And then my opponent's deck is playing a Ramp Elf. That could be really relevant, which is another reason why I like having Quag Sickness here. What are you playing? Ooh, a Giant Spider. It's a good card. And Dragon Egg. That's a good card. So I think we'll probably start attacking in. If I attack in with the Canyon Minotaur, it does end up only trading for like a Giant Spider or something, right? And if that's the case, then maybe I Quag Sickness the Giant Spider and bash in with the Minotaur. Because my opponent can't block, my opponent takes 6 points of damage. Or I could just offer the 2-for-1 if I want to see if my opponent wants to trade a Minotaur for the Giant Spire and something else. And actually, you know what? I think I want to do that because I don't think my opponent's going to do that. And I'm willing to trade one Canyon Minotaur for, you know, like a Master Vision or something else. Yeah, because that's just going to be a 2-for-1 at that point. Yep, I'm good with that. Because I do have another creature, and the key is just getting 2 creatures on board each turn, really. Here, my opponent's decided, gosh, do I 2-for-1 myself? I don't know. Nope. Just going to take 6. Yep. I'm going to get the Dragon Egg on board, and now I am going to use the Quag Sickness on the Master Diversion. I feel like that's how I'm going to lose this game, is by my opponent being able to evasion out the last 10 points of damage. Whereas with a Dragon Egg to chump block something powerful and have a Fire Shrieker on some dudes with a Minotaur Abomination backup, we should be okay, I think. Still a little scared if 5 or 6 mana comes down and my opponent's just stuck with some huge beefy everything. But we kind of have the tools to deal with beefy everything in the Fire Shrieker. Here it comes. What 5 beefy thing do you have? Sentinel Slivers. Not that, but can definitely hold down the board for a while. So we attack in again. Still has to do a double block of some sort, but that double block can be a Giant Spider and a Sliver. That's not particularly amazing. But if I want to get my beats on, that pretty much has to happen no matter what. And then I'm just trading the Minotaur for the Giant Spider, and still I'm okay with that. I want to put pressure up. The difference is, since there is less pressure, I think I'm okay. Oh, I was going to say I can bash in with this Canyon Minotaur also, but actually that just double blocks and I choose, yeah, that's a waste of life. So yeah, we'll just keep this Canyon Minotaur. I assume the Minotaur will be blocking with the Giant Spider, but then I have really good attacks next turn, so that's cool. Or just chump for days, and that's a-okay as well. And I skipped through my main phase by accident. I wanted to play the Minotaur Abomination. Oy, let's see if that bites me in the butt. Let's hope it doesn't. I'd really like to have my Minotaur Abomination down. So, I lose from Enlarge. I think that's what it's called. That's the +7/+7 trample. Creature must be blocked, right? Well, that helps some of the toughness that's happening. But if that's the best my opponent can do, that's still pretty okay. Does that change the double strike clause? Not so much, because it's still just going to be trading a 1-for-1 somehow. But I kind of like being on the aggressive here, especially now that again, will have some plays. Hopefully not missing out on my Minotaur Abomination, which really would have liked to have had Fire Shrieked up this turn. So let's pay attention to my second main phase and not skip through it. That's a good game plan. My opponent seemed to have gone a little bit for the white-green Sliver deck, which I think is a pretty weak Sliver deck. I think you have to go red-green to go Sliver. Whites are fine. You'll get incidental stuff for it. Like I had a white-green deck that had Sentinel Slivers along with the Manawef Slivers before. And that was super fun. But I wasn't really forcing the Sliver deck. It was just a nice synergy within that deck. Playing Hive Stirrings makes me think that that's actually the deck my opponent was trying to put together, a green-white Sliver deck. And that's not entirely, I think, the nut deck of Slivers. Alright, another chump. That's good. My opponent trying to buy some time. Let's remember to go ahead and play my Minotaur Abomination. Sorry, opponent, was not trying to slow roll you, I swear. I just made a mistake last turn. But Minotaur Abomination will be good because I can get a lot more pressure. As a 4/6, a lot more beefiness, and also being able to take out any creature on the double strike is very good. Alright, here my opponent taps down. Ooh, Predatory Sliver. My opponent's doing well hanging in there, having been screwed and a little behind on mana the first few turns, especially in a deck that I'm assuming wants some mana playing green. Flames of the Firebrand being pretty nutto right now. What do I take out with it? Anything? I think the Predatory Sliver, just to get rid of that extra pump, is going to be really key. Alternatively, if I just attack in with the Minotaur Abomination, what does that do? How can my opponent block? It still takes out 2 of the creatures. Takes out 1, and my opponent would have to 3, 4, 5. Would have to put everything in there. Yeah, but I think just doing the flames now really just makes blocks absolutely miserable for my opponent. I'm going to re-equip here. I can start getting aggressive and attacking with the Canyon Minotaurs, because then a double block can happen, they can kill one, but then my opponent's taking... no, we'll do that next turn. Right now is when we want this to play out. Is there a reason not to play Child of Night? Again, because Enlarge is a thing. I think I do play Child of Night. There's no board sweeper with unless there's 2 more planes that come down. So that's going to be a while. And if that happens, I get a dragon back afterwards, so I'm kind of ahead on that game. So yeah, we'll play the Child of Night after combat as well. Let's see if my opponent... No blocks? Ouch. And then that really sets us up for a sweet attack next turn. I'm very curious if my opponent was just stuck on a plane or just needed more lands in general. Because being stuck on planes, maybe there's like a Sarah Angel or something just insane hanging out in these last couple of cards that my opponent has. Ooh, there's a Hydra. Or maybe my opponent was trying to be greedy? I don't know. Hydra is good. And without evasion, you know, there's not a whole lot that I can be doing. But I think just bashing in with everything is going to be sweet. Because I have 1, 2, 3, and if I move the Fire Shrieker over Lifelink, I gain a little bit of extra life, though that's not relevant, but it helps in the long run with the race. Have to block the Minotaur Abomination. Can double block, but then my opponent dies. 1, 2, 3, 4. If a double block happens on the Minotaur Abomination, then 2 creatures get through. Child of Night has to be done. I like making 2 lethal creatures and attacking with everything, because then they either get both the Child of Night, either like, Child of Night would trade, or Minotaur Abomination would be chumped, unless a double block happens on one of them. Then another 1, 3, 4, and then I get my opponent down to 1. Yeah, we're gonna go aggro here. Since my opponent's tapped out, there's no combat tricks. It just means there will be... And since, yeah. Because even if, like, I lose one of my guys with a double block, or even 2, my opponent's down to 1, and I'll still have at least 2 creatures back to bash it next turn, and then my opponents have multiple answers for all of that. I'm going to hang out on the swamp. I don't really need it. Quagsonus was the only reason I have lots of swamps. I just need a bunch of mountains for my dragon egg. Gain the 4 life will add a little bit of cushion to life total swing, plus dragon egg and stuff. Will be nice. That's a fine block. Keeps for days. These guys trade. This will pump something bigger, which certainly is somewhat dangerous in terms of preventing that final point, but I think getting in a little bit of damage here, either cleaning the board or in some way. Alright, cool. So we want to do a trade. Chump, Vastwood Hydra will trade, but then pump one other guy bigger. But again, having multiple threats around and with the Dragon Egg backup makes things very nice for me. And again, Fire Striker just being all-star right now. Which is why I was so surprised Fire Striker was this late. Because look, Fire Striker suddenly makes Child of Night just, you know, an insane double striker lifelinker. It's a 2-drop. Alright, and that's what's happening. We're clearing the board a little bit, making some trades. The Hydra will end up pumping up a bunch of different things on the giant spider here. Makes it big, which is kind of good for defense. And for now, since I don't have a lot of big dudes anyway, I will go ahead and move the Fire Streaker onto the Canyon Minotaur. That way I have 2 lethal guys next turn. And yeah, I'm dead. I mean, I could have put it on Dragon Egg as blocker, but obviously that'll do nothing, so I'd just be wasting my mana. Enlarge doesn't get it there, because it only does 12 points of damage, and I can even prevent 2 to 10, so yay for, again, Child of Night getting some life there. Elvish Mystic, just trying to get some chumps on? Yep, it looks like it. Really confused what my opponent was holding on to earlier. Might still have one of those cards in hand. Alright, so if we attack in with everything in this ring flesh to make the spider less scary, that will keep the Canyon Minotaur alive. It'll block here. My opponent can kind of do a thing there. It's still not. Still don't have lethal quite yet, but I'm still putting my opponent in a very pressurized situation. Alternatively, I can just put the Fire Streaker on the Minotaur Abomination. And let's see, 5s, and yeah, I just think that's the best case scenario. I just want to clear the board, and since my opponent just has chumps for days, I'm okay with that. I assume it's going to be a chump. I don't really know, but I'm assuming. My opponent might get really tempted to do a bunch of block, but I don't see how that would even work. Yeah, my opponent can't do that. So we're playing conservatively, making each attack just a nice removal spell. There we go. And then we'll pass the turn. Oh, I should move the Fire Streaker back on the Minotaur. That was silly of me. I'm wasting the wonderful utility of what an artifact can do. Now my opponent has a huge something. Ooh, Garrick's Horde. Okay. Certainly a thing, especially with Trample. But I still think we have the race in hand here. Attack in again with the Minotaur Abomination. 7. Making 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It would still, yeah. If I attack with Minotaur Abomination, I do die. To even with Ring Flesh, to a double block. So if that's the case, I move Fire Streaker back onto the Canyon Minotaur. They're both lethal. I attack with both. He blocks. In some way, this is blocked in a favorably. They're both really, they definitely kill one or the other, but Ring Flesh would save my guy to knock out the other. Still not a great move for me. And if that's the case, I can just go ahead and attack with the Minotaur Abomination, which will trade with one of these guys anyway. And Garrick's Horde. So yeah, what I think I do is I'm just going to attack with the Abomination. You know, I just want a creature and kind of clear the game state away. I have a much stronger board presence. And then my opponent's drawing a land next turn, which is, you know, not a lot. Could also have a creature come down, but I'll trade the Minotaur Abomination for the Garruk's Horde. Or, I mean, really, it's a Ring Flesh for something, but however my opponent wants to do it. And having this Dragon Egg as like a thing is fine too. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and do a full trade. No. We'll use the Ring Flesh. Because that just gets rid of it, flat out. And then my opponent won't be able to cast the top spell, so then my opponent is for sure drawing a land next turn. So my opponent has a forest in hand at the end of that turn. And then we're back on board. A little worried about time. If I do get smoked out of this, then we're going to have to go to game 3. And then that can be very worrisome, so I have to pay attention. I'm a little bit ahead, but got to be careful. Alright, my opponent still has that one random card in hand. Okay, cool. This should get us there. Alright, hold on. Is that lethal? If I attack in with this, Shiv's Embrace, +2, they're both lethal. They have to block both. Yeah, I don't know why I did it that way, but whatever. I think it's because I want more defense online. Yeah, that's why I did it. This will end up trading, I just realized. Well, shoot. I don't think that was really smartly played. Oh no, because I can still do the first strike. Okay. Never mind. We're okay. Sorry, I was trying to click the creature to make that happen, but it was the other way around. Alright, we'll see if my opponent has anything after this. Probably pretty hard. And GG's. Cool, those were some really fun games. A little hard on some stuff. I mean, my opponent came back after being kind of screwed early on, so well done to eFlare93. But no matter, that was really fun to play. Hope you'll have some good matches in the next 2 rounds as well. See you then.